Let there be light. I hope this shows up the way it looks on my screen in this video here. But the sun is catching just right and shining down on me and my beautiful curly hair. Um, Welcome to the fourth and what'll be the last installment in my videos, part of my story on the canine unit. Um, I've been struggling with the thought of what to say, how much to say, and to just you can't just focus on the negative. Though there was a shit ton of it, there was also a ton of positive stuff. I mean, I made contacts at at the airport, at courier companies, the private ones, which led to some seizures and some cases that were further investigated. And I helped out a lot of younger guys and gals on the street at traffic stops, and I was always excited about any amount of success, whether or not it was through my own initiative or through helping others. Because part of my goal when I had that job was, to find um, good street cops and to help them and to get them excited about doing proactive work, and of course most specifically drug work. And you know we were not just a specialty unit but also a support unit. And so even though a lot of the time I was on my own as a lone wolf out hunting for drug dealers, when people gave me a call, I was excited to go and help them. And because that's part of it. It's not about, well, for most of us, it's not about personal glory. It's about working and having fun. And good people that I knew that while I was at work, I wanted to work. Um, and helping out others is just, it's a part of what this great job is all about, and it is what you make it. And I also helped out other specialty units on takedown days for long-term projects, and had some success there. Um, and It was just what was the best job I've ever had in the worst environment. And I had, unlike followers who kiss the teacher's ass, or suck ups who just go with the flow in order to not cause themselves any difficulty, I had confronted people that were pulling bullshit or shoveling bullshit. And of course, when those people are part of the teacher's pet group, um, you know, I, I knowingly painted a target on my back, but I wasn't gonna put up with that fucking bullshit. Of course, the results were not good. Um, just, well, mistreatment, neglect, ignorance, and then outright lies from one of the supervisors in particular, who, instead of empowering all of his subordinates to have to do the things they need to do in order to achieve individual and team success. One of my supervisors came in one day while I was writing some notes, and made up this complete horseshit lie about how some unknown member of the brass told him that I was no longer allowed to work in a certain area that I had been working before, which greatly reduced my chances for success. And when I asked him to clarify or for further details, it was the old "don't ask any questions," which is a great way of shutting someone down without having the balls to say where it actually came from, or the fact that it was fucking horseshit. Um, that when you have crap management, crap supervisors, that's the kind of shit that you get. If you voice your opinion, or if you stand up to some of his fucking boys, well, he's gonna make life miserable for you, and he sure did. And despite the fact that I was, getting regular success, and at one point, even though they were just drug arrests, as viewed by other people in the unit, I was having more success in terms of arrests than the other handlers were. Of course, the jobs are extremely different, and one is much physically harder than the other, but success is success. And if you're set out to do well in a particular field and you're doing well, people should be happy. I had people outside of the unit that I didn't work for or work with, congratulate me on some of the seizures and investigations and arrests that I had. But from within the unit, hardly an acknowledgement at all, unless I went out of my way to tell them or let them know. And it's not that I didn't, should get into any line of work simply to get adulation or congratulation from your supervisors. But, a little goes a long way. And when it's genuine, it just fucking motivates you to do better. And good bosses should be concerned with the development of their subordinates and the success of their subordinates exceeding their own success. Of course, that didn't fucking exist when I worked there. But I am hopeful with recent changes in management that there will be a success there. And, I just didn't want to admit, despite all the fucking stress, how much it was affecting me at home. I didn't think about it a lot. I don't think I was conscious of it. But until one day, I was walking back to our trailer at the campground with my wife, and I forget what we were initially talking about, but I just tore into her for no reason, and for no good reason. And it wasn't because of the subject matter that we were discussing that was, a family one, but it was because I had so much fucking stress bottled up inside because of the working environment that I was in. And I knew that day that was the catalyst for change. I knew that this achievement, this job, my success in it, and being the guy in that particular area of the canine unit, that status was not worth the poor mental health that it was causing me to have, and then bringing it home. And I thought for an awful long time, and talked about it with my family for an awful long time, because my career had led me to that position, and I had done everything it fucking took to earn it. And there was some supportive debate on my wife's behalf that I shouldn't give up. And I think over the last 2 years I've proven that I don't give up. But you have to weigh out what's most important. And this was a case of where our family was, despite knowing what it would mean. And the hardest thing, not leaving working with those idiots, but the hardest thing would be losing my partner, Maya, my dog. Because first of all, she was a fucking incredible dog, the best at her job, well-behaved, obedient, loyal, and I'd had her for over 4 years at that point. But how do you weigh it out? It took me a weekend of self-debate uh, to know that I had to make this sacrifice. Of course, I wanted to keep her, and yes, I asked to keep her and was told no. Um, and as much as I hated that, I understood it because she had years of service left. And whoever was going to take her over next would inherit a validated, successful, productive dog. And so ultimately I made the decision to leave. Um, and that was one of the hardest career things I've ever done. So, the way she goes sometimes. You do what it takes to be happy and healthy. And one of the crappy things about that process is after consulting with some union people and with some close personal friends, you know, I had to go through the process of returning her and returning all of my equipment, and you know, not knowing who would take her over and that sort of thing. Part of that process was also going into HR and explaining to two of the divisional commanders there, the number one and the number two, and they weren't sympathetic at all. And in fact, that meeting was extremely difficult, and they were angry at me, and they didn't accept what my reasons were, even though I was pretty thorough and detailed in explaining it to them. And I did so without shitting on the people who treated me poorly. That meeting was, from my perspective, from my words, was all about why I chose to leave and the stress of it, and explaining that environment without naming any names or pointing any fingers. I was there, and I know what I said. And you know, I am also aware that there were some connections with one of the people in that meeting and the unit supervisor, and perhaps that contributed to their tone and their anger. Zero fucking understanding on either of their parts. They were just mad, and which is such a load of fucking horse shit. Maybe there were some things I wasn't aware of. Maybe it was a simple matter of a much lower ranking subordinate taking a stand and explaining themselves. I don't know. But anyway, the end result was returning my dog, which I did. And then making arrangements to return back home to the North End and Jungle Patrol yet again. And because I want to be surrounded by good people, and that mattered most. And I fucking lucked out in that regard. I think some people higher up, you know, realized that I was someone who wanted to quietly leave without any fuss, never making an internal or personal complaint, despite having excessive reason to do so, evidence, justification. But I didn't want to cause any trouble. Excuse me. And I just wanted to get to where there were good people that I knew. And again, over the years, that became exceedingly more important than what the actual assignment was or the duties of that particular assignment. And so I did, and I was welcomed by some old supervisors of mine, and that I loved very much and respected, still do, and respected working with. And so I landed on my feet after making that tough call. Unfortunately for Maya, the person that took over my spot was someone that did nothing to earn it whatsoever. No previous education and or training for that position. Job experience was little to none, lacking. Wasn't someone who had earned the spot So not only did they get that position, they were picked completely by the buddy system from within the canine unit. So they inherited that spot and inherited the best dog that there was out there, in Manitoba anyway, in my humble opinion. So you're walking into just a golden fucking opportunity, and you've done nothing to earn it. And that's unfortunate. And that person became part of the canine fold. And I went back to work, nose to the grindstone, I think that's the expression, and moved on. And there was near instant relief with respect to my working environment for how positive things were in that regard. Of course, it took me a while to get over Maya. The way she goes. I sure was glad to no longer be surrounded by a bunch of assholes, but be surrounded by a bunch of hardworking, good dudes and good supervisors and moving forward. And yeah, and one thing, fast forward a bit, and this is, you know, a comment on the person who inherited Maya. Because you can, you know, without personally knowing someone, you can say a lot about their character by how they conduct themselves. So years later, when Maya passed, I found out about it through social media. So that fucking idiot that got her didn't even have the decency to let me know. I would never have done that had the roles been reversed, had I taken over a dog and it later died. Even if I hated the fucking guy. I mean, I do hate that guy. But even if, because of how he conducted himself, I would have never done that. I would have had the courtesy to let them know that the dog that they previously handled had passed. And I attempted to contact that person by email and by phone, and it was ignored. They couldn't even say what had occurred or why it had happened. And yeah, well, that's just the kind of fucking person that he was. Zero decency whatsoever from a guy who inherited a gold mine, who did not earn the position, who wasn't more successful than I was. And when he got that job, he got a lot of help from people above him that he should have never had. Information disseminated to him that never should have been. And but he was willing to do whatever it took to shine, which is just a dirty and greasy move. But you know, so that's the kind of character that he was, willing to accept and put up with the bullshit of that place, and just a complete asshole. But there's a lot of them, not just there, but throughout the service. So, you know, when you get something, you should be thankful and appreciative, and you know, you should have some common sense and manners, and in terms of notifying the previous person who had looked after that dog. It's just the right way to be. But oh well, I mean, that person's not important to me whatsoever. I'd never worked with them. And you move on and you move forward. And so yeah, so we'll talk to you guys soon. And So you have another video following up when I get back about the north end, and then a new position after I'd been back in uniform for a little bit, and some new family and mental health challenges that came afterwards. And yeah, so take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Talk to you soon. Bye.